Good morning, traders. Welcome to the London session. Happy to have all of you guys here. It's open for everyone. Please share the link. I do have a call. You'll have to excuse me if you hear some noise like that. Let's go. Let's start. So we're going to start with dollar index. What I'm going to do in this session is I'm going to record all the majors, some of the trade setups we looked at this morning because we had a session previous to this. And we're going to have a session after this, and then we're going to have the London session and the New York session. The New York session is open to you guys. Please join us and make sure you invite somebody. Share the link to somebody you know. They probably haven't found it yet, right? So let's go. Dollar index. I'm going to go through the dollar index. Since you guys are here for the first time, I'm going to go to the bigger picture, give you a view of what we're looking at, and hope you can join us for the entire 2 weeks, because then you would actually get some trades. So this is about time for the disclaimer for the entire week. We are not making trade calls here because this is an open session. We do that in our trading room mostly, right? What I'm going to show you is how we trade in our live trading rooms that we do at least 5 times a day, right? These are live trading sessions. These are not somebody just giving you some analysis and said you should buy here and you should sell. These are real trades that my traders will be taking. Now it's up to you to decide if you want to do that or not. We're not advising that you do that, but the choice is yours, right? So I'm going to give you the big picture and tell you what we were expecting to happen. So the big picture is this. Eventually, this is coming down, right? I think you would have known that if you're following me, that we were looking for this flat to break the top and then come back. We're already coming down. Now, when you see channels like this, you're always thinking 2 things. You're thinking running flat or you're thinking channel for upside. Why? Because structurally, they look alike. So what we're going to look for is we're going to look for trades to the upside today, because we are assuming that there's a consolidation going on here, and that consolidation will break to the upside. Now, sorry guys, how high this go is an unknown factor. Now, you would see traders fibbing this and telling you to the 50 fib, to the 680, to the 786. That is just pure nonsense. And I see some traders put more fibs, because the more fibs you put, the higher the probabilities it's going to stop at some one of them, regardless, right? And you can put the number of lines because it might stop at one of the lines. Now that's a pretty good guesswork. I'm not in that business, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to track it. And as it's going up, we're going to have rules. And you might be able to see how we use those rules to decide when we get out of that trade, whether we stayed with the trade or whether we close the trade even before it goes. Now, all of that will depend on how the trade that you take is behaving, whether you have a good setup to go with, right? So we have a very sharp impulse, but we have a sharp impulse at the start of this one. And that is why I said the possibility is a running flat. Now, if it's a running flat, what you would normally see, and I mean normally, which would be the normal actions, you would see a flag here and this would drop to the bottom. So if you were here, we actually were trying to sell that on Friday, which would have turned out to be a break-even trade. And then it drops, right? It actually went back. So this one went up, great. Because it went up, I would make the assumption that this might be all the correction and we're actually going up. So any flag here would be a buy setup. Now, we do have a few hours there. If you go into 1 hour, you'd see that we have about 6 hours. So this was a buy for us. This could be a buy. Now, we anticipated that pullback. Those who were in the buy would know that from my recording this morning. We anticipated that pullback. We had a pullback here, and that's called a running flat. Now, we're not doing patterns here now to educate, right? There's a possibility that we saw this coming back because we had this. This one, sorry, not that one. I missed it. This one. We have this one because this is a smaller flat of its own. This is a smaller flat here. This is a smaller flat here, but we have this one. So we're expecting this move down here, make a running flat, and then go. So the entry order for this is already valid. We'll put this entry order. When you put that entry order, you'll put a stop here. Right? So we'll put the entry there, we'll put the stop here. Where is our target? Right? Our target is unknown, which means this thing can go quite a lot. But even if it is going to go quite a lot, it's not going to go in a single straight line. And because the probability of that trade is that it could still come back down. And this is where a lot of the wave traders out there who actually bought my course and learned a little about it will get you confused. Because they would tell you, well, okay, we're buying here and we're keeping it for it to go to X or Y or whatever they will put the target. And it might go there in 4 days, but the reality is they were not going to be in a trade in that for 4 days. You wouldn't be in a trade in it going there for 4 days. You can probably take 4 or 5 or 6 trades to get there, and that's possible what we will do. Because if you're trading and you're going to hold it for it to go there, 90% of your trades will be losses. And I think that has happened to most of you, right? Where you think, okay, I expect it to go down, so I'm going to stay with the sell, and then it keeps pulling back and pulling back and pulling back, and you're not getting out of the trade where you should have got out of that trade way back in I don't know, from the first 4 hours that you took the trade, you should have been out of that trade, but you don't. And it will eventually fall. So hindsight, anybody can come and say, you see, this was a wonderful trade. In reality, no, it wasn't. So we're going to show you how trade management is the most important thing you're going to do as a day trader. Not an investment trader, but as a day trader. Trade management would be your number one thing you would have to learn to do. So we're going to put that in trade. If this trade goes, we'll show you how we manage it. If it doesn't go, we'll show you how we manage it, right? That's a trade. My trader is a trade. It could come a little lower. We're not interested in the sell at the moment. We're still thinking about a running flat for the upside. So we're going to put this as a possible buy setup right now, aggressive buy. Sorry, guys. You'll have to excuse that. Yep. We're expecting this to go back up from this morning. It's going up. Perfect. Not this silver, but I think the gold, our aggressive traders could get into the gold for the buy. It's a very, very short-term trade, very aggressive trade. Traders who have the skill level can do it. Traders who don't will stay away from it. We're looking for the sell setup, which is once this gets to the top here, and that might happen today, that might happen closer to the New York session, we'll be looking for a sell. Now, I don't know for a fact that this is going to go very far. And as a matter of fact, I'm very cautioned about that going very far, because even if we take this to be the top of that structure, this is the first impulse down. And the first impulse down is already getting a lot of divergence. What that means is that this move at the bottom here is starting to lose momentum. And if that is the case, then we will either make a correction before we drop, or we will come back all the way to the top here, come back here, and then go up. Right? Those are the two most common possibilities that could develop from what we have right now. Now, what are the chances this could drop a very sharp move? Well, that is possible. That's why we'll take the trade and they will manage it. We will try to take the trade from the top. Not from here, but from the top here. We'll try to get a flag like this on the way down, a smaller flag probably, sell that flag, put a stop above this stop, and we're going to go for this trade. Now, there's a reason I'm not putting the stop here or putting the stop here. We're going to put it above this one. As we go along, we're going to explain to those of you who are not in the room why we do that sometimes. So we're going to be looking for a sell setup that is far from now, right? Let's go. Gold also going up. We expect that. Well, this is where the aggressive traders could get their trade because we didn't break the low. And if this one is to make a spike, it will go above the top. So you could take a trade here. Sorry. This cough is going to disturb this thing. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We're going to put a stop here, but we're going only for this trade. Now, that trade is a very aggressive trade. It means if your account is a successful account, which means you have extra money in your account, you could afford to take a small loss. And I mean one loss, you can go with this trade. Now, at the end of this session, and at the end of every session, I'm going to give you guys some clues, some very important things you should learn about trading if you want to be successful. One of them, I'll tell you what it is. One of them, I'll give you an idea about money management. I'm going to give you an idea about trade management. I'm going to tell you about risk management. And very basic stuff and very short. I'm not going to be doing a lesson, but very short things that if you follow those, the chances of you losing your account will be close to zero, which means you're not going to ever lose your account if you follow those rules. It doesn't matter how bad a trader you are. You might not be very, very successful, but the chances you're not going to be losing your account. Now, I also told you guys that we will be looking at 5 random accounts. Now, we're still debating on how to choose the 5 people. So since what we will do at the end of every one, I know Vic, we can probably put out the poll, we need volunteers. So either we let the volunteers put it in the poll, either you're going to tell us at the end of every session for the first week, we're going to take volunteers, right? Because I think the same people will be coming. And among all the volunteers, we'll pick 5 people randomly whose account, if you want, I will look at your account and I would say, okay, all your losing trades that you have, we're going to show you where and how, using the same principles we're using here, you could have closed that trade. And then we will see whether there is a change in your account, whether you would have been positive, negative, or you still would have lost the account. Maybe you did nothing wrong. Maybe that's just a turn of event that went wrong and everything. There's nothing you could have done with that. But we will look at each one. And I can tell you in the past, I've done this with my traders. And actually, the result was amazing. If you follow these rules, these simple rules that I'm going to give you along the way as we go, you'll be good. And these are the rules we use in our live trading every day, right? So let's go. This is a short trade, very short trade. If you're not a successful trader, you should not touch this trade because there's no guarantee that it's going to even go to the top here. It could literally do this and drop, and that would be okay. We'll go with the contracting flat, right? So since contracting flat exists, traders who take these trades are traders who can afford to take it because they will know the risk and they will know how to manage the risk. Your skill level has to be a little above normal for this, right? Sorry, guys, I had a sickness a few weeks ago, 2 weeks or so ago, so it's still there's some after effect. I'll mute myself when I have to cough, but if I do accidentally cough before I mute, excuse me, and we'll move on, right? So let's go. So we are expecting this to come here. And then for the rest of the traders, once we break that up, any flag from the top will be selling because the bigger trade is to the downside, right? So we're looking for a sell setup here, although the immediate trade is upside, right? So I'm not going to put that because that's an aggressive trade. Euro, we'll only wait for the sell. We can actually put an entry order right now in the sell. I don't think we're waiting for anything else. If we get a flag earlier, we can, but we might not get a flag earlier. It might just drop. See this one here? It dropped. I wouldn't be surprised if this drops. Now, what if it drops and it doesn't go? Well, we'll show you how to get out of a trade like that for less than your risk. So if you're taking this trade, where would you put your stop? Your stop would have to be here because if we think that that is a possible small running flat, that's where you're going to put it. Even if you don't think it's a running flat, that's the closest you can put your stop. That's where your stop would be. And how far this could go, well, we will see because there is no limit to where it can go. There is no pattern developing that this pattern, this has to fit, right? This is just breaking through all of this and going down. This was the low. So we're either going to make a much bigger correction or we could even retest the low. The possibility is this could go and retest the low. That's the unknown factor. We don't know that. This could be all the correction and drop, or this could make it just a bigger flat, something similar to this, which means this here might just, see this how it dropped and broke the low in reverse. This might just drop here, break that low in reverse. And then we start to do this, come back here, make a big flat like this, similar to this one, and then go up, maybe even a bigger one than that, and then continue to go up. So if all of this happened this week, we're going to get some buys. We might get the sell by the end of the 2 weeks, and we might even get that one going up. I don't think 2 weeks would be enough. Because if you take from here to here, this one was from 13th of October, and this up move started 4th of November. Yeah, just slightly above 2 weeks. So you might be lucky if you're here to see all of that happen, if it is going to make that pattern. Right? If it is not going to make that pattern, then you're all in for very good luck because this will continue to go down. Right? So those are the two. And I showed you this pattern because this would be the simplest of patterns that it can make there. It doesn't mean it is going to make that pattern. Get this very clear. This is what you're not going to hear out there, right? We have something you're going to hear me repeat often. It's called the ever-changing pattern. It means you're always going to start when you have one piece with the simplest pattern, 1, 2, 3. That's not how it's going to develop. And about 60% of the time, that is not how it develops. But that's the starting point because I cannot go and draw a complex pattern here for you. There's about 1 million different complex patterns I'll be drawing if I do that, right? The variations of how this could develop. And that's what we call the ever-changing. But here's the deal. You don't have to do that. That would be wrong. You have to start with the simplest one. And as it becomes complex, you would see the complexity. And every pieces that add on that makes it more complex will show you the next possible move for the bigger pattern. And that's how you develop it. You cannot start with a complex pattern. That is if you have a really good imagination, which is wrong, right? So we always start with a simple pattern, and then if it becomes more complex, we'll develop it. So right now we're expecting it to drop. It's a little risky trade in that we have divergence and the drop might be short-lived, but we'll take it. We'll take it and we'll manage it, right? If it drops like this, you'll get some profit. We'll close it before it goes back up. If it tags, you go back up, you'll learn something. Since you guys are new in it, if it tags and start to go back up, you'll learn how to exit the trade like that for less than your risk. Right? So let's go. Euro, we're going to put it as an aggressive sell. Pound. Pound already was a sell on Friday. That's gone. I think we can put another sell here. Pung is still in the consolidation. So this pattern is different, right? It's still in the consolidation. I don't think this is all the consolidation. So I'm of the belief that this one might just drop here, and we might end up making a very complex pattern in this range here. Now, there's a good chance that it could take off to the upside, but I don't think on this one. I don't think this is the one, because to take off to the upside, we'll have to come and break the low first. This would have to drop here, break this low, and then we might start to see this move going up, right? Because we have 1 and we have 2. And this one didn't break the top by quite a lot. So my thought process is we are making a complex running flat pattern. Now, we will know if that is true if this starts to go up. Now, this might drop. If it's going to go up, it likely will break the low. If it's not going to go up, they'll probably consolidate here more. They could probably do this, consolidate here more, drop again, and then go up. This would be the most corrective part of it. That would be the B part of the entire correction, right? So, or the corrective part of the entire correction. This is a B, because it could be a W or an X, or it could be some other part of it, right? Whatever letter you have in mind, that's okay. So we're looking for a sell setup. This is if it drops suddenly. That entry order is good. Your stop is going to be here. And we're targeting the break of the low to see how far it goes. So this would be a sell setup. Now, any of these trades could change very radical depending if we have a structural change. So we're going to put this sell. But what if this sell doesn't happen? What if this goes up some more? Well, we can't buy it because we don't have a setup that says buy. Right? If you think of buying it because you think it's going to go up, well, good for you. But we need setups, and we don't have a setup that says buy. Can it go up? Yes. But you just can't buy it because you have a feeling it's going to go up. You have to have a setup. So what will be the setup? It goes up like this and make a flag. And perfect, we will take this trade to go break that top. We'll assume that this here is a smaller correction within it. This would be 1, this would be 2. We could probably go up for 3. We might come back here. We might even go back up. Like I said, it could get very complex. But unless and until we get that flag, we don't have a buy setup. So for now, it's a sell setup. Aussie went up as we expected this morning, which is we wanted this to go up to that level. And now we're looking for a sell setup. We'll put the sell under the low. If we get a better entry beside this low, which is, this is how much pips? Let me see. This one is about 42 pips. If we get a small flag before that, we'll sell it on the flag. If we don't, we're going to wait. So we're assuming that that's a running flat. That's the assumption so far, because this morning we wanted to go up. Any trader who took the small trade here, good for you. I didn't make the call, but my traders would know that that is a small trade. That's why the arrow is there. There's a chance you should close that trade. Even if it goes a little more, it doesn't matter. Close it, wait for the trade. Because we just wanted to be about this size, and I think we got about that size, right? You wanted to be about this. And well, fair enough, you got about that, right? So we'll leave it like that. We're looking for a sell setup. If it goes more, we don't have a trade anymore. We'll wait for the sell setup, put an entry here, put a stop here. We're looking for that trade downwards. So this would be a sell setup. Actually, this is a sell already. You can put the entry order in on that. And New Zealand, same thing. We want this to go up. It went up. We're looking for a flat for downside, right? So this is how we look at trades. This morning it was here. We said, let it go up. When it come down back, we'll be looking for the sell. So this is a sell setup. Put an entry here. Put a stop above the flat there because a running flat. Put a stop there, and we're looking for this. This is how we trade it. Now, how far this is going to go? I don't know, because we're still in this here, see? And there's a good chance that this is a possible running flat. Very complex one. Maybe not. Maybe we're still in some bigger correction, so we'll figure that out. But this would likely drop here. If we're lucky, it comes to this level. If we don't lucky, they go back up from here. And we'll be looking for the buy setups back to the top. So we're in this here. See? And if this here is going to be anything that is a running flat, there's a good chance it drops here and then go back up. There's a good chance this could be a much bigger correction. But once it comes to this level here, we'll start to look for upside, because that is how we see flat patterns behaving. Pretty often, that's what you get, right? This is an up move, and we're trying to consolidate there. Well, is this enough consolidation? If you look backwards, sometimes that is enough, sometimes it's not. See, this small one was enough. This flat here, 1, 2, 3, that was enough for them to come down. We're looking at the same thing here, 1, 2, 3. Would this be enough to go up? We'll see. You'll be here and we'll see that. So let's get this sell first, and then we're going to come to the bigger picture and show you how patterns behave and how we make forecasts. So downside. This has a sell already, sorry. Come on. That's an aggressive sell. Sorry, I'm putting buys here, my fault. Aggressive sell. And this should be an aggressive sell. The pound is a buy, the dollar index is a buy. So yen. Some of my traders already in this trade. And for those who came in late, we'll have to wait for a setup. We really don't have a trade here. It's going to go a little higher. Definitely will break this top. The problem is there's no good risk to reward in the trade going up. So if you buy here in a 15-minute flag, right, all it has to do is come and break this stop, like literally do that. But your stop would have to be here or more safely here. So you're going to be risking this much just to get that. Now, it might go a little higher, but like I said, you can guess. The idea is not to guess whether it will go, right? But if you're already in the trade from this flag, then that's a good trade. Because you took this flag, your stop would be here or here, but then the risk to reward is good in that one. Here is what we're going to do. We're going to let it go to the top, and then we're going to trade it down back because we're correcting upwards. So 1, 2, then we have this one. We got a flat, we get that, we get a flat, we get this, and then we're going to come down here. Now, the funny thing is, one point in this, when I did this one, we were expecting this to come here, and we were expecting it to go back there, and then we were expecting it because that is how you would make the forecast, right? That's exactly how you would make the forecast. We'll be looking for this flat. We'll be looking for this flat. And then we'll be looking for that to go up finally and then come down. But it didn't come down. It didn't come down here. And Friday, when I was doing the webinar, we were in a rush. And I literally said, this is a mess, just leave it. Like literally. And somebody sent me a video over the weekend of another wave trader selling. And that's exactly the words we use. It's a mess, let's leave it. And I'm like, dude, it's not a mess. It's a very clear pattern. I just was in a hurry to say what the pattern is. And instead of showing my traders the pattern, which I guess they would guess, I said it's a mess. And that was exactly repeated in the webinar. So I was laughing when I saw it because literally the guy copied it from me, which means he saw my webinar on Friday and decided to post this one on Saturday with that news in it. Well, let me tell him what the pattern is now. I guess you're in here, so you'll see. This is called a WXYXZ pattern. We still think this is the correction. So you can correct your video. And we're looking for this impulse down when it gets there, and we'll be looking for that impulse down. But also make sure to remind the people who watch you that it could get more complex than that. Right? Don't forget to tell them that part. It could get more complex because, and I could show you some of the complexity that it could develop, but first let's break the top before we go into those complexity, right? So we'll be looking for a sell setup from the top. I don't think we can get the buys anymore. In the news on Friday, we did buy this. Right? I don't think we got tagged in the news, but after the fact, some traders should have put this entry order in here, and they should have put that one there. But that happened after I recorded the webinar. Let's go. Funny stories. So this one, we're not doing anything. Swiss, we're in this channel pretty much like the dollar index. And again, the same thing. You can look at this as a possible running flat, right? Because of those two sharp waves, and that means this can drop all the way to the bottom here and probably drop out of that structure. Or we consolidate to the top here and then go out of the structure, and that would be a channel. Both of them structurally the same. So this was a sell setup from this morning. And if any of my traders take it, you're tagged in that trade, your stop should be here. Our stop should be above, because if we break that up, it's all over. So you should be tagged in this trade already. It's only the first hour and the second hour. No worries, no need to do anything. The chances are it could go back up for running flat. This might go back up a little. If it goes tag that top, it's probably going to drop still because this correction is in this one. I don't think they're actually going to reverse out of it. But in that case, like I said, you can put your stop there. That's where we're going to exit the trade if it goes. It's not going to go up as this because this is not all a correction. So I don't think it's going to take off all the trade. Chances are we're going to come back to this level and then go. So we'll manage the trade. We'll see what we do. It's just tagged if you're in the trade. I'm going to put it as a sell setup, short-term sell setup, very aggressive. And dollar CAD. We're waiting for a buy setup. I think we can put the buy on the CAD. I think we put it in this morning already. I just didn't add it. You can put the buy on the CAD. the reason we're looking for a buy in the CAD is we want this piece to go back up. That is, we assume that this pattern is completed and that this would go back up. That's the assumption, right? As of now. Now, if this is not the pattern they're making, if that's not a pattern for upside, the bigger move is upside. I can show you that. The bigger move is this one eventually going back to this top. That is this going back there, completing this pattern, and then coming back here. So what we'll be looking for is this move to the upside, come to the 4-hour. Now, what if it comes lower? If it comes lower, you pull that entry order. It's no longer valid. So as of now, it's a valid entry order. If this is to come anywhere lower into here, pull that entry order. It's no longer valid, because if they come here, they will go back up, but they'll tag you and then drop. We'll definitely be selling that in the New York session if that happens. So if it comes lower and go back up, we will treat this as a flat for one more down. Right? So in the New York session, we sell. As of now, if it takes off, it's a buy setup. Sorry about that. Let's go. Aussie yen. Aussie yen, some of my traders are in this one too. If you were there in the Asian session and you got this really good, just put that to positive now. Probably even move your stop up a little, because this could still happen. Right? It doesn't have to happen now. This could continue to go. You might get something here. But if it happens now, you want to get out of the trade and get back in. So this is a good one. We're expecting this to go up. That's a good trade. We are also expecting New Zealand yen to go up. So this should come to the top. And then we're expecting the continuation of this corrective pattern like that. Can this pattern change to something else? Well, you could take a snapshot of this and you'll follow it for the next 2 weeks, and we'll show you if we do change it, why we change it, and how we're changing it, and what would be the next possible patterns we're looking for. So we had this here since last week, and so far, so good. So we're expecting them to break out. We're expecting New Zealand yen to break out. I didn't think we put an entry in the New Zealand yen. If anybody get it, they get it, because we're expecting this pullback. So it will only if we get a flag. So for now, the trade to the top here would be if it makes a flag or if it makes a pullback. Either of those two we will take. So we wait for a flag, we wait for a pullback. That is going to be 3-4 hours from now. Then you get the trade. If you're already in from this flat, from the smaller one, and they're good for you, just put that to break even and let it go. Right? Swiss yen. That's not a buy setup. That I know we have that, but we're just waiting for it to break the top. So those traders who are in this, move your stop very tight now, because at any point this thing could drop. Right? We're not buying this at the top there. Although we expect it to go, we're not buying it. If it makes a flag above there, then we'll consider that, but it's not the best buy. Right? Because we still have this sharp one, and that means once you break the top, it can pull back immediately, and then you'll get yourself in trouble. So this breakout is not a buy. CAD yen, we got in some of our traders in from Friday. Well done, excellent in keeping that. But if you closed and re-enter, you would have closed and re-enter here. You closed and re-enter here, you still did well. Still going good, right? So now you're at the top, which means you'll move your stop really tight. And if I were you, I'd actually put my stop right here. Because that once we break this stop, at any point in time, it can drop. It doesn't have to be quick, it might be slow. You can also wait for that turning point. If you want the impulse of the flag, close on the flag, and then we'll go to the downside, right? So this at any point could come down back. How high this can go? Well, that just depends how high they want to go back into this one, right? That's a deep one. I don't think we're going to go pretty high, right? So even if they're going to go high, they might pull back deep and then go again. And then the bigger picture is downside. 1 hour, let's see. So far, it's a corrective structure. I don't see them literally turning to be the impulse to the upside as yet. And Euro yen, we're not doing anything in it because this was the sell-in from Friday. That's a small one, close that trade. We're not doing anything on this one because first you want this smaller pullback in here that could become a flat. And second, you have this one here, right? So we get a 1, 2, 3. I don't think that gives this one away. But even if it does, they'll just come here and drop again because you have this piece, you have that one, you have this one. So you don't have any good risk to reward in here, taking this piece up there. So I think unless if it makes a really big flat or a big flag or pull back sharp enough for us to get a trade. But there are better trades. The Aussie yen, the New Zealand yen, the Swiss yen might be better trades than this. Pound yen also. Where's the pound yen? Pound yen also. Let me bring it up here. Pound yen would be a good one. If you took it already, I think the entry order was from here. If anybody took the Pongian, great. And if you didn't, then just wait now for a flag above the top. But if any one of you took that, that's okay, because this one is going to come break this top. And the chances are they can go pretty deep. It's a short trade. Once it breaks this top here, you have to, well, something like this. Once it does something like that, you'll have to move your stop very tight, because we can come back and retest the low, making this a flat of its own, right? Kind of this one, flat, come back here, and then we'll still have all of this to continue to the upside, right? We're in this sideways move that is happening right now. Let's go. You're in New Zealand. I'm going to go through most of them. You're in New Zealand. Don't take the sell. I don't know if anybody did. Don't take it. It's coming down now. Once it breaks the low, we'll see where it goes from there. It's kind of consolidating in this range. Right. This sell wasn't I don't think we had a flag in the first place. And the second place is not really very big trade, because you couldn't put a stop here. You'd have to put a stop there. And that didn't go for a good trade. So let's wait and see where it goes, and then we'll come back. Once they break this low and this low, chances are they can go back up. Right? There's a lot of consolidation here. Euros, nothing here. I would look for more of a buy setup at this piece. Let's see if it goes up, the buy is a good idea. If it drops, just let it drop. But if it goes up from here, the buy would be coming to this top. I would expect them to come back to that top. There's a small flag here. Very aggressive trade, but we can go with it. So I'll put this as an aggressive buy. If it comes lower, take it off. If it comes back to the lower, just take it off. Your cat, sell setup, active, sell setup. Euro Swiss. Let's see if we get a 15-minute flag here. Right? You put the entry order, but if we get a 15-minute flag, that would be better. If you take this entry, put a stop here, right? If we get a 15-minute flag, we'll go with the 15-minute flag, which means if we get a flag here, we'll take this flag, we'll put a stop there, and we'll go for this trade. So that could be in 2 hours time if you get a 15-minute flag there. Euro Swiss. Nothing here. We're expecting this to go back up. So let's see. Okay, so they dropped, they broke the low. Let's see if it goes back up now. We didn't put any seller because we're expecting this move up, right? So if this actually goes up, this would be good. You want it to go up some more. We want the flag here, and then this will become the buy setup. So we'll wait for this. Don't jump into this here because it will tag you and drop, right? And we're waiting for that confirmation before we get on the upside of the trade. But the upside is very likely because the pattern we're looking for is this one. This is not going to break out now. We're expecting this move up. There's a good chance they might come back down like this. And then from there, we'll look for the upside. Because this looks like the B part or the corrective part of that structure. So let's see. Euro pound. You should be tagged on this one already. Pretty much the same one. So we're going to put this as an active trade already. And keep your stop under the low. We'll see if they retest the top. We're taking this trade to see whether it goes retest the top. We're in this up move here. It's a big correction. It's a big daily correction. We're trying to get to the top of the correction, and then this is going to drop. So we were selling that last week. We sold it, then we took off the sell. And there's still a chance that this could get to the top here. And then we would look at this for the possible sell again, because we're looking for that move down, right? Eventually. So this trade is a nice trade. It's a short-term trade. We'll manage it as we go. Let's see if it goes. You got a nice impulse. You got a nice flag. It might not go immediately because it doesn't look like a complete flag to me. Yeah. Well, it depends on how you look at it. It should be a little here. Yeah. Good trade. We'll keep an eye on it. We still have a lot of time. It just got tagged, right? So, pound New Zealand. Okay, it's coming down. If this comes lower into this here, don't sell it, right? It's nothing. Either they go back up from here, we'll look for the buy, or it comes into the low and then go back up. If it comes into the low, we'll assume that that pattern is over. We'll go with an expanding flat in this one, right? If it doesn't come and go back up, we'll assume we're still in the B wave, and then we'll expect this to come back. So we'll trade it up, and then we'll trade it back down and then go. So we're making a big flat here for upside. Uncat. It probably will drop one more, let it drop, ignore the sell. Looks like this will give you a drop, but because we broke the low already, I think we should ignore the sell, let it drop, and then we look for the buy setup. The bigger pattern is this one. So this could drop, but I think this is the B part of it. So we'll expect this move back up. So we'll expect this to go back up there and then drop again. We'll see if we can get that trade. If this drop, I don't know how far it's going to drop. You don't have a good place to put a stop. So the risk to reward would be really bad. And that means you just let it go. Let's see if we get a 50-minute flag anywhere. No, not really. I would hate to take a trade here, but a stop there. Not a good idea. If you get a 15-minute flag under this one, then maybe only then we can consider a very aggressive trade. Pound Swiss, take it off. Like I said, if it retags the low, we take it off. It just got back to the low, so we wait. We don't have a trade now. It could possibly be a flat for one more down. This could pull back here, makes a small flat here for one more down. I think we leave the sell. It could come a little lower. We thought they will drop a little lower from here, right? Because the bigger picture is this. So we're thinking that this, since last week, could drop a little lower, but it's not. We're still looking for this trade up, not this trade down. I let this happen, and then we look for this trade up. Right, that is going to be this one, or maybe even this one, depending on how you look at this correction. Is it complete? If it's complete, then we're totally going up. If it's not, then we will make one more move up, come back down, and then go. Right, this is a big up move forming a flat at the top there. It's pretty easy to see, right? I can even show you one. Here is one. See this? You make that flat, and then you take off. So we got this, and we're making a flat here. Take a wild guess where you think it should go. Everything is right, it should do that. So we're trying to get that trade up from here, but because this is a complex pattern, there's a chance it could go there, come back here, and then go. Right? This piece is separate from this one. This one actually was a simple flat. This is an up move that got to pull back and go there. We never broke the low. So let's see how this behaves. Right? You can see the pattern. Maybe this week, that within this 2 week, we might even get the up move. So we're waiting for the buy setup, not interested in the sell. Pangos, leave it. It's going to come down, maybe even come and retest this low, but it's not clear. We're waiting for this whole thing to break out at some point. This is not really a good sell setup. Aussie's CAD. Aussie CAD, we're going for the sell. Okay. We're going for the buy, sorry. Yeah, we're waiting for the flag for the buy. Let this make a flag. There was a small flag that broke out. There's a small one that broke out. That's an aggressive trade. But if we get one here, we want a bigger flag, and then we're taking that trade up. So we want something like this, and then we'll take that trade. So we're going to go with this trade up. The bigger pattern could possibly go up from here, and we might be looking at a possible running flat like that. So let's see if we get the trade. Just have to wait some more, put it in the 1 hour and wait. We don't have anything in the Aussie New Zealand. It's a sell setup, Aussie Swiss. We don't have anything. It's consolidating. It'll take a while to consolidate in there, and then we're expecting downside most likely. New Zealand CAD, upside. Okay, it's making the impulse. We have to wait for the impulse is going. We have to wait for a flag. So this morning it was here. We want an impulse. We actually want this to go some more. Then we want a flag like this here, and that would be a perfect buy setup. Bigger picture says upside. Right, that is this one. We want this move up. And then we'll be in this huge corrective structure here. See? We'll be in that. But this could go a little higher. So I think we'll look at this as a possible flat. So let's see if we can get this trade this week. If not this afternoon, tomorrow we'll definitely get that trade. Even in the 15, we don't have a flag. Yep, we don't have a flag anywhere. So no trade until you get a flag. Just wait. New Zealand Swiss, it's about to break out, so we definitely need a flag. And the reason we need a flag is that this could tag you here and drop back to this level, right? And then go up, right? There's that possibility exists. This might be a 1, 2, 3 flat in the middle, come back here and then go. All the waves are pretty sharp in them, so we can't clearly identify one of them as the corrective structure. It might be a little more complex than that. So we're going to trade this up only when we get a flag. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we're going to trade this up only when we get a flag. Catsus, we don't have anything. Natural gas. It's a sell setup, but don't take it. Just leave it for now. US oil, I think we're putting a buy setup on it. We're putting a buy in the US oil here, and we're putting a buy here. And we're expecting them to break that up. Once they break that up, it's all downside, right? So this was our forecast last week. We think this is making 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So when you break that up, that is downside. Because this looks very flat, so which means we're going to get this moved up. So there's a trade to the upside. Once you break it up, take your profit. If it goes, I think they'll go. I don't see them dropping from here. And even if it's dropping from here, we don't have a sell setup. S&P 500. Okay, this one is going to be very aggressive if you want to take it. Like super aggressive because this flat is pretty big. Taking this to go up and go back to the top there. It's pretty risky. Let's see this. Stay out of this one. Let's see this. This might be a better one. Especially, sorry guys, sorry for the coughing. If this comes back here, then this would become better ones to get to that top and maybe even break out. Let's wait. DAX. Okay, pull back, we'll go with the sell setup. So this morning we wanted to pull back to this level. It did. That's a sell setup. You can go with a sell in the DAX. Keep a stop above this one, and we'll see what happens. Nifty. We took off the sell because this is not exactly dropping. So we'll wait some more, wait for the setups, and then take the trade. HK50. I think we're looking for a buy setup some point. No, it actually drops and then go back up. So let's wait and see. I don't see the buy or the sell setup. We don't have a flag as yet to buy, and we're not dropping to make another flat as yet. So let's go. The cryptos, what I'll do is I'll do 3 of them, and then you will tell me if you want me to look at any one of them. So we run through everything this one, but in the New York session, we're not going to do all of this. In the New York session, we're just going to look at the trades themselves that I've marked, which means if it has something like this, we'll only look at those. And if there are any new trade setups, we'll look at the new trade setups that are forming, right? So let's look at Bitcoin very quick. Looks a little more downside, at least for now. Can it go back and retest the low? It can. This one is not exactly the most impulsive move up, so we can go and retest that low. Don't be surprised, right? Same thing here. ETH, we're kind of in a big sideways move there. They didn't even go back to the top. I was expecting to come here and then drop, which was from here to go retest the top and then come down. There's still that possibility that we go retest the top, but this definitely looks like it can drop one more before they go. Right, so there's still a chance that this is going to go retest the top and then come back down. So let's see. OMG, it's coming down. This one actually starts from the bottom, so there's no, there's no specific need for this to come down. But if you look at the bigger picture is this. See, this is the bigger picture. So the probability of, if this is all the correction in the middle, the probability of us retesting this low is very high. So this could come back, retest that low, and then go. Right? See, actually, we did this forecast way back, right? So, sorry, guys, it's cough. Sorry about that. Yeah. So this can drop and retest the low. So if you were in any of those trades, you're closing those trades already because we can retest this low and then go up. You don't have to keep it, even if you're long-term. And if you're long-term, better yet, why keep it? If you're long-term and you're positive and you close your trade here, right? You can use the same money to buy back here. What are you going to say, but what if it takes off? Well, it's easy. What if it takes off? Just put an entry order here to buy if this takes off like a rocket. You will still be in the trade. But you can buy much more if it goes lower, right? You can take the same money and, buy 1.5 times more you're buying than when it goes to the bottom. So if you're long-term, there's no reason to stay with that trade for that long. I think it's going to drop some more. Let's see. Okay, Any specific one you guys want me to do? Let's go back to the trades and the trade setups we're looking at, and we'll deal with them. We're tagged in this dollar Swiss, so I'm going to start with that one. We're going to start with the trades we're tagged in. Dollar Swiss. This is only the first hour. We're not really worried about it. It's pulling back. So it's pulling back on the first hour. Not a big deal. They always pull back. Any trade you take will always pull back. See that pullback? What happened? It still dropped. If you had sold that and you're worried about it, well, this one dropped quite a lot. You probably would have taken profit. But if you didn't manage to take profit, you don't close when it's coming back. You wait for it to start to go down, then you close it. So if we're going to close this, we're going to let it break the stop, start a pullback, and then close the trade. There's no need to close it right now. So let's go. Tell me what trades you want me to look at now. Which trades you're in, which trades you're either tagged in the trade or it's a really good setup that we missed. And we're going to go look at it. We can start with that. Anybody? We actually just did a whole webinar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording here. Stop the recording. Before I stop the recording, this session will go on for the next 30 to 40 minutes. So if you're watching this recording and you would like to join us live, make sure to click on the video with the video with the links in it will be in this one. And the links might be in the description as well. So make sure to join, right? Good, let's go. So I'm going to stop it.